humans of the Dominion, known as Cassians, are fervent believers in their glorious destiny. Chosen by the Elden to be the inheritors of their ancient legacy, Cassians built the Dominion, formed the Vigilant Church, and drove the heretics who denied Elden divinity into exile. Cassians' devotion to their empire makes them natural leaders, monumental builders, and stalwart soldiers. Intelligent, industrious, intensely committed, Cassians serve as a social, industrial, and moral compass for the Dominion, and will fiercely fight to fulfill their destiny as the rightful rulers of the planet Nexus. Cassian history. Originally from an unknown world, the humans that would be known as the Cassians arrived on the planet Cassus a few thousand years ago before the story of Wildstar. When they landed, the Cassian settlers fell ill, becoming victims to a plague known as the Shades. All hope seemed lost when a small girl was found whose blood worked as a cure against the plague. She valiantly gave her life to give enough blood to save the remaining settlers. Over time, the memory of the girl, known as the Angel, and the plague, now humanized into a demonic trickster known as Jack Shade, were aggrandized and turned into the Shade's Eve holiday. That's kind of topical. Thousands of years later, an experimental spacecraft was made, taking 100 years to build, the Nomad. Sadly, it went missing, forgotten as a failed experiment. Over time, Cassian spaceflight was militarized to help quell uprisings in the outer colonies. One day, however, an odd craft appeared, out of which emerged the Makari, led by Axis Phaedra, who you probably recognise as one of the leaders of the Dominion today. They proclaimed themselves agents of the glorious and powerful Elden, and demanded the Sword Maiden Trisane Toria. In return, the Cassians would rule the universe. Not wanting to be eradicated by the Makari, they accepted, then swiftly departed with her and the Sword Maidens who refused to leave her side, not seen again until 31 years later. For this time, a being who was not Makari emerged from their craft. Out of which emerged Dominus, the half-blood, half Elden, half Cassian, claiming himself to be Trisane Toria's son, which he proved by presenting his mother's scabbard. He then displayed his godly strength, as well as showing off Elden technology, giving word of how the Elden technological capabilities were millions of years ahead of the Cassians, how the nanites could reverse damage. All were awestruck by his magnificence. Dominus brought with him an age of prosperity and peace that lasted 700 years. His descendants, the Lumini, were his sons and daughters, less Elden than Dominus, but maintained semblances of his visage. Through them, the Elden guided the newly forged Dominion, bringing the Chewer and the Draken into the fold, forged the unshakable empire deemed to rule the universe. At the end of the 700 years, the Elden sent one final message: we will seize the powers of the gods. Religion. After much deliberation, the Makari and the Lumini accepted the Elden were gone, and they would have to inform the masses, as well as follow the examples the Elden had set for them. The current Emperor Jarek, then known henceforth as Jarek the Vigilant, began the Vigilant Church, canonizing, meaning to make a saint of FYI, the 6 children of Dominus as examples for the rest of the Dominion. These traits were the strength of Azrion, the courage of Tristan the Valiant, the justice of Bronos the Just, the purity of Avindra the Righteous, the devotion of Coral the Devout, and the knowledge of Galen the Adept. To be accepted into the church, you had to accept the Vigilant Doctrine, which was based off 3 simple principles. 1. The Elden descended to godhood, and therefore deserved worship and reverence. 2. The Lumini are descended directly from the Elden, and are therefore fit to lead the Dominion. And 3. Dominion citizens are the chosen people of the Elden, and therefore are the rightful heirs to the legacy when they return. Before the Elden became the centre of Cassian worship, churches were instead dedicated to hearing stories of the past. The chroniclers would tell stories of past ancestors and events. When Emperor Jarek declared the Elden worship, many churches were quickly refitted into the Vigilant churches we see today. However, due to the mass shift, many lowborn felt left out and weren't 100% on board with the change. Although due to the Vigilant system worshipping the old ancestors as the virtues, most accepted it. The ones who didn't became exiles after a brutal civil war, which I'll cover in the Exile Human episode. The Vigilant Church also fields their own army, known as the Radiant Legion, currently led by Torek and Tevian, another face you may recognise on the Nexus. They're known as the best of the best, the Chuck Norris of the Dominion Legions. culture. Cassian hierarchy is split into two sections, Highborn and the Lowborn. The Highborn are those like the Lumini and their descendants, possessing fractions of Elven heritage. The more percentage, the higher up on the totem pole you probably are. While this has led to a brutal class system, it's also resulted in Lumini possessing a high probability of madness and or physical disabilities due to inbreeding. The Lowborn are those without Elven ancestry, and make up the vast majority of the Cassians. You can usually tell the difference by their accents, with Highborn using upper class English accents like this, while the Lowborn don't talk like this. As well as the dialect, upper class Cassians enjoy the finer things in life, like wine, expensive food, or classical music, while lower class don't care for none of that fancy stuff, preferring more folky music, and simpler pleasures like pie and hootenannies. It is not set in stone that a Lowborn may not reach prestigious rank, however. Two noteworthy Lowborn in positions of high regard are Torek and Tevian, leader of the Radiant Legion, and Corrigan Doon, notorious drunkard / bounty hunter. The one Highborn in a position that you wouldn't normally expect them is Artemis Zinn, the renowned famous TV presenter / explorer, who you'll probably find all over Nexus. At this point in time, the Cassians are the leading race of the Dominion, clean to claim their birthright and ascend to rulers of the galaxy by any means necessary, even if it means wiping the other defiant races off of the map.